For anyone that wants to come after me for what I'm fixing to say in this video, a couple weeks ago I had a heart attack. And I'm just not in the mood to deal with people that are going to be pansies because somebody has an opinion. But let me explain why I have an opinion. So a few years back, with the Katie Noel drama, I did a whole psych breakdown for Ryan about what was going on in that relationship and why Miss Noel needed the drama she was causing for her career, and why she was creating, hi Denise, why she was creating a break from his fan group, trying to create a split, because that's where the power was. It was a wedge movement, very political move, very career oriented. So listen, Ron and I started having a little bit of mutual respect because he saw the videos and he gave me some feedback. Now, I adore the boy. He's got a masterful mind, and he's a wonderful lyricist, and he's a great musician. But now I'm going to call him out when I see some bullcrap, because I love the boy. I really do. Like, we shared the same birthday, and he reminds me of my son a lot. So I feel like a mama hen instinct toward him. So I'm going to call out the BS completely. I'm going to call out the BS, but I'm going to do it and try to do it in the most loving manner possible. But now the reason I do this is because I'm a retired parole officer and a retired counselor. And I retired due to my health and due to a neuromuscular disorder that is killing me, along with the stress and everyday crap that everyone else likes to create for me. The weather about killed me today. It was bad today, and my body has not been good today. But I saw this, and everybody keeps messaging me. And as much as I want to just hide and sleep and be left alone, I understand that I have, for some of y'all, become a place where you go when you don't understand what's going on in Ryan's head. I don't always understand what's going on in his head either, but I think I have a better window than some, due to my experience and my time counseling people with ADHD. And I know a lot of people in the music industry and a lot of people that have been celebrity status, and how it has affected them mentally and emotionally and even physically in some ways. So I think I have kind of an indoor look at this that some people may not have. And I've got you propped up on the edge of my couch. If you fall, I'm sorry, but I'm not sitting in the kitchen table today because I'm too weak. So here goes. I've not said anything because for a few months my health has been the most important thing for me. But Ryan goes through cycles. And when he's beefing with people, he's distracting himself because something's falling apart. When he's beefing with people, it's a distraction because something very close to his heart is hurting him, falling apart, or he can't control. So he uses the beefs with people as a control mechanism so that he can feel as though he's controlling something, but it's completely a defense mechanism so that he can completely distract himself, feel as though he is being defensive and protecting something, but he's just protecting a created problem instead of something that really needs to be taken care of. It's a whole deflection momentum that makes him feel good. So he still gets his dopamine, still gets his third eye. He still gets his hormone fix, but he gets to completely ignore the problem that really needs to be repaired. And in some ways, this is why he is such a musical genius, because he can ignore things and focus on really beautiful things, even when there are really ugly things happening. That helps his music a lot. And in some ways, it hurts his life, because he can justify to himself completely just becoming abstract the moment that he needs to be completely on task with his family. And there's the balance there, and he's not quite got there. He's, and he's still young. Everybody wants to say he's getting older, he's maturing. He is maturing. The last 3-4 years, he has matured a lot. I don't know if y'all have understood, but this breakup went pretty much undisclosed and very quiet compared to most. I've seen a lot of progression in his life in the last few years. Now, that also being said, I've seen 5 relationships. and I've seen some patterns, and some of the patterns concern me. Because sometimes when a pattern does, well, sometimes when something happens, it can do a good thing or a bad thing. And so sometimes we psych ourselves into a pattern thinking that it will recreate this drama event that did us, really well. His breakup with Katie Noel, which was emotionally horrid, because I believe the boy was absolutely in love. It broke him, but career-wise, it kind of established him, and it firmly established his followers, that Creek Squad, as we like to be called. But it was a very innocent time. Creek Squad was very full of love for the music and love for Ryan and support, but it wasn't really toxic. It's getting toxic here lately. It's getting very aggressive. And I say that, as someone that is, someone that I would say I am Creek Squad. I'm part of Creek Squad, but I see a lot of aggression in Creek Squad right now, and it's not really that they're focused on the music as much as they're focused on being like a little bandy rooster in a farm lot, and that's just not attractive. It's just not. Yeah, Third Eye has changed a lot. So the Katie Noel breakup, it changed. It charged his career a little bit more, because people got emotionally attached to him really, really at a very deep level at that time. Hi, music. So he bounced back from the Katie Noel stuff pretty quickly, because his career bounced back and he refocused his energy, which is great. But he had a very emotionally taxing response to that breakup. So, we go into the next couple of relationships, and it was kind of the same self-fulfilling prophecy. It would go really good for a little while, and then there would be a huge kaboom. And then the huge kaboom would be met with a lot of fanfare and a lot of support, which would give him a huge rush of emotions and a huge rush of endorphins and serotonin, and just a hormone chemical rush. And he would focus it back into his music. Well, we've done that cycle a few times now, so I have to call out that I'm seeing a pattern, and I'm seeing a destructive pattern. It's a self-sabotaging pattern. And I just want to point that out, because now, you do things a couple of times, you have a few bad relationships, it happens to everyone. I have a horrid first marriage. Bad first marriage. But I don't have 5 of those. And that's where we really have to take stock of, am I taking notes? Am I creating awareness? Am I creating changes that are going to create a more profound relationship the next time? Or am I just trying to recreate what I thought I had so that I can be back to where I wanted to be? And that's where we have to really look at ourselves and go, what am I focused on? What am I doing? And how am I treating this other person that's in my world? Now, I personally I've been very vocal. I did not care at all for Katie Noel. And she just left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like the girl. The whole Nicole Arbor, eesh. No. And I told him finally, leave the flaming hot Cheetos alone, because they burn your butt every time. And I was right. And one thing that has always grounded him has been his countryside. So when he eventually finally got with Bethany, I thought, okay, this is much better for him. And it was. We could all see him calm down, tone down, and react in a much more positive way. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Jacqueline. Or Jacqueline. That's too pretty for a redneck to say. So we saw him calm down when he got with Bethany, and that was because a lot of his emotional needs were being met. He was understood at a more ground floor level. And he was able to be himself because there was knowledge there of him before fame. So what I've always told Ryan is make sure that you don't allow the persona to overcome the person. Okay, Jordan Peterson says something very, very provocative about Elvis. And he says, even as famous as Elvis was, and as self-assured as Elvis was, and as much of a legend as Elvis was, at the end of Elvis's life, Elvis was basically a mimicry of himself. If he didn't wear certain outfits and hit certain poses and use his hands in certain ways, his fans would not respond. And he basically had turned himself into an organ grinder's monkey. And this is one of the most predominant men in music. So it can happen to Elvis, it can happen to anybody. So no matter how prominent or proud you may feel of something, you still have to be very aware of the momentum behind it and your emotions when you're fulfilling your obligations, and understanding that you're a persona to your fan base and a person at home. And that can be very difficult for some people to take apart, especially when the studio is kind of in a home or a home-like setting, and that you don't have a lot of separate headspace. So he's probably, with the ADHD, probably always writing, always turning lyrics, always focused on turning real life into music. So there's a blend there that's hard for him to break, and I can understand that. But that's one of the most important things that I've known from my other friends that have been famous and in the celebrity world, is do not let the persona become, more than your person. Rachel says, over the years, I've seen him go up and down these relationships. This one was definitely different. I love Bethany. I don't know what happened, but I'm heartbroken too. I adore Bethany. I thought she was kind of the perfect balance. She was the teeter to his totter. So she was the balance mechanism for him. And she kind of grounded him, because she was very quiet and more subdued and more cerebral, and could reach him on a better mind wave, a better wavelength. And I can't say anything bad about the girl, because I didn't see any bad behavior from the girl. She wasn't, she wasn't out there trying to get attention. She wasn't trying to create issues. She wasn't trying to consume the fan base. She wasn't doing anything bad. And I thought she was a classy little nugget. I mean, I thought she was just as cute as she could be. And even I went through her Instagram today, and even she's like, it's all my fault. And I'm like, bless your heart. Relationships that fail are never just one person's fault. It takes two to make a relationship work and fail. Two. And so it's not all her fault. But I can't say anything bad about Bethany. I never saw anything bad from her. I thought she was very classy. And I told him, instead of going for the flaming hot Cheetos, why don't you go for the classic salt and vinegar? Goes with everything, and it's just always good on a plate, And I always kind of laughed and would tell him in comments and stuff, she's just that classic salt and vinegar, perfect with everything, And I think she's I think she's a little beauty. And I feel really bad, because whatever happened abruptly, which means it was not well thought out, or it was something that they'd allowed to go on for a long time and dealt with. So not managed emotionally, physically, mentally, really not talking out. And so they either turned a blind eye to this for a long time and then hit it full on, or it just abruptly happened and boom, a decision was made. Either way, I have hope that maybe they might link back up and talk about it, because you should never make a rash decision over a long-standing relationship like that. You should take time, take space, but give yourself 3 meetings to come back to talk about it. And after 3 meetings in a public place where you can't go ballistic, if you cannot talk it out, then you're done. But give yourself those 3 meetings, especially if you've been together for a while. And but I wanted to point out that this is a pattern. And as much as I adore and love Ron, and I support him and his music always, I will always tell the truth. And I see a pattern. And this is a pattern because when Katie Noel and the breakup and the bomb dropped, the music came back awesome. Heartache always preempts great music. It sucks that it has to be that way. It sucks that you have to hurt sometimes to create art. It sucks, okay? Yeah, Jessica, I've heard that too. He's having some family issues. And he's got a lot of responsibilities because he has a lot of lives depending on him. Hi, Gypsy. So he's got a lot going on. But I want to say I'm seeing patterns. And I'm seeing patterns in his world that can only be dictated by him. So I'm seeing some stuff where I'm not comfortable with some of the body language. So Ron, if you're watching this, and I know sometimes he does watch my videos, he did a video not too long ago on, I don't know, where somebody asked him the drugs he liked. And he'll look straight at the camera and tell you he smokes pot and does shrooms. But then he turns his head, swipes his face, and says that he likes Adderall in the studio. That head turn, disconnecting the eye and swiping the face, he's not proud of that. But he still told you, but he's not proud of it. Now, I don't know if he's prescribed it or not. I don't have any of that information. I don't know. All I can say is the body language, but when he tells you about THC and shrooms, is, I tell you. But when it's Adderall, he broke that. And that was an adapter. That was, give me a reason to not look at you when I say that, because I'm uneasy with that topic. So there's something going on there that I feel he's uneasy about. Ron, if you need help, I help you. I help you with anything. You know, I'm a message away. You know how to get me on Instagram, Izby Waters, IZZBY Waters. You know how to yell at me. I'll help you. If it's something like that, we'll get through it. Not a problem. But I also have noticed that with the relationships, you can almost see the change in him personally when he's in a relationship and mentally, and when he's not in a relationship mentally. Because he kind of goes through these cycles, which is normal for everyone to a certain extent, but abnormal at a certain level. But we're starting to see the same markers in each relationship now, where the honeymoon period lasts about the same time, the engagement and all that comes about the same time, then the breakup comes about the same time, and then the music comes about the same time. And to be quite honest, I'd like to tell him I would rather, as a fan, go 10 years without hearing another song from you and know that you're happy, than to think that you have to go and like create heartache to make a song that I might like. Don't do that to you. You know, just like, don't do that. Silver Tree, that's when I say cycles, that's absolutely a possibility. And that may be something that he needs to look into. I don't, because I see more of his persona than his person. I don't have a good foundation, a good baseline for him to say any, you know, make any huge judgments like that. You know, that's something that I think he probably would do good to go into counseling and have a counselor and have somebody to talk that through, because I definitely see some self-sabotage, which is very predominant in mania. Gypsy, I've felt like crap all day. Let me tell you, I've ignored everybody and just tried to deal with my health and this weather, and I've not had a good day. Today's not been a good day for me either. But I'm concerned about him now, because now we've seen this pattern about 5 times. If you've been a fan for a while, you've seen this pattern about 5 times. And while I will always adore, support, and hope for the best for him, I am at this point concerned, because I'm seeing a little bit of stuff that's scaring me. Hi, Dusty Blue. And I want him to know that I know that the momentum seems to have shifted in the last 6 months behind the music, and there's been a lot of aggression in Creek Squad, but they're still really good people. And I just have to say that Creek Squad follows the momentum of Ron, and Ron has been really kind of aggressive since the whole Kylie Rodney case, even though he had every right to voice his opinion and state his ideas and stuff. He got treated really poorly and kind of came back on the attack, and Creek Squad came back on the attack, and there was a whole lot of crap that got started. That stupid psychobabble bull. Oh, I hate that man. Oh, I mean, that's the only man on the face of the earth. Jesus, I do not like. I hate him. I don't like that man. I hate him. I mean, just put that one on my tab, Jesus. I don't like that man. But there was a lot of animosity created there that didn't need to be created, and there was a reason for that. And now if you look at the timeline, boom, the bomb is dropped again, and we're in another breakup. Now go back and timeline that with all the other relationships. So was he really invested in the Kylie Rodney thing, or was it the distraction, the deflection that he puts himself into when things are starting to tank. And I worry about him because now we've seen this, a few times, and it concerns me because I want him to be happy. Third Eye, you with me on that one too? And so now that I'm looking back at this, I'm like, and he has amazing ways to distract himself. Like, y'all, I might have $5 to my name, so I can't really distract myself a whole lot. So when I had a heart attack a couple weeks ago, I had to deal with a lot of crap, like 2 minutes flat, and I couldn't distract myself. I mean, if I'd had money and the means, I could have distracted myself for a long time, and been like, I'm not going to deal with this today. I'm going to get me some home health nurses and, and we're going to get, some real awesome self-care, and I'll deal with it later. But the boy's got awesome ways to deflect and to deal with crap later, which creates bottlenecks, which keeps the cycle going. And I hope that he sorts this out, because I really think with Bethany that was something rare and special. I really think that she is a gem. Now, she may have done something that you wouldn't believe a mule could do to a woven wire fence. I mean, she might have done something real bad. But the vibe I get from the girl is that she's very consistent and very low key and very happy being that way. Music, it's Ryan announced that he is single again. And so I'm just kind of going through. I've had so many people message me going, what the crap? Explain this, because Ron and I have done this tit for tat back and forth in videos for a few years now. We've had some video chat discussions, but not enough where I really feel like I have a good baseline of his person. But I think I know him a little bit. And we do a lot of commenting back and forth, tit for tats, and we like to irritate each other. But this really concerns me. And yeah, time alone would be a great thing. Sometimes time alone and self-reflection kind of makes you understand how to fill that gap and fill it more responsibly and more respectfully towards yourself and the person that you're with. Here's the thing, though. He never, even when he's not with women, he's surrounded by 5 or 6 men that are still emotionally fulfilling most of the needs that a girlfriend would fulfill. Now, not the physical ones. No, y'all don't get nasty. But a lot of the emotional needs are still being met. So there's not a lot of really deep, quiet reflection, because he is so busy and he does have so many people constantly around him. And I'm sure people that are around him want to be respectful and want to be yes men and want to say the right thing and want to, and that puts him in another danger spot. So you just have to be careful about who you surround yourself with, what you allow to become a self-soothing mechanism, and how you treat people. And yeah, Ron is human. And you just have to really think on the basic qualities of life. And I think sometimes the fame and the notoriety and what he thinks we expect of him and then what he expects of himself taxes him so violently. And that's why I said a few minutes ago, I would rather go 10 years and never hear another song from him and know that he's happy, as to think that he has to go through another heartbreak to make music that I might want to hear. So, it's kind of, I don't think he's learned a balance, which is very hard for people that do cycle and do have ADHD. So, there's some stuff that he's still got to work on. I just hope he works on it, because the day that he did the video where somebody asked him what drugs he liked to do, and I was very uncomfortable. If y'all know my career history, retired parole officer, retired counselor, dealt with teens with drug addictions and violent past and trauma past. When he looked straight at the camera and said THC and shrooms, he had no problem voicing that. But when he said Adderall in the studio, he broke eye line and covered his mouth when he said it. And that told me there was a problem there. He was not happy about that. There's some kind of emotion that's not good there, because he was using an adapter in his portrayal. Oh yeah, money brings problems. Absolutely. I don't think I could ever. I've got some famous friends, and I'm like, bless y'all's hearts. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. He does have a good head on his shoulders, but he balance. It's the teeter totter of life, and because he has certain quirks and certain like the ADHD and he's very emotional, then his teeter totter is, it has a bigger swing than most of ours. So he has more work to do in that realm than most people, and so it's more difficult for him. And sometimes I think he's more stuck on being the persona than the person. But then I also understand that because when you create a persona, everywhere you go, people want you to be the persona, and you can't just be a person anymore. And I felt sorry when he was upset because the lady at O'Reilly's or Advanced Auto Part, wherever he was, had been really nasty to him because she asked for a picture or something. He was in a hurry and couldn't, oblige her, and I guess she got nasty. And there's no need to be nasty. I mean, we all have places we got to be and things we got to do, and we're all on a timeline. But he is. I know that bothers him. And if something that small bothers him, something that small was one fan's day being ruined because he's in a hurry, imagine how the big things in life affect him. Because at the end of the day, if somebody tried to stop me and ask me for an autograph, I don't care if I was freaking Oprah. I'd be like, yo, sorry, deadline. I'm working here, and I wouldn't think about it again because I would be mentally, my obligations are set for the day, and and I meet my obligations for me, you know, and I wouldn't necessarily want to make someone unhappy, but when I'm on a time schedule, I'm on a time schedule, so it wouldn't bother me at all to say no, sorry, I'm on my way, gotta go. And if they got mad, they could scratch their butt and get happy. Edith, he is newly single, and I'm just kind of doing a rundown because Ryan and we've got this tit for tat that we've done for a few years now. But if something that small hurts him and he has to talk about it in a video, in an Instagram video, imagine how the big things affect him. And so there's a very soft side to him that is probably, I mean, he's probably a lot more sensitive than most people. And sadly, being a celebrity takes kind of a hard shell. But when you have a hard shell, you don't have the emotional depth to make good music. And it's kind of like a catch-22. So normally when you're really good at something, it's because you're really vulnerable. And it's just like, I get it. It's a catch-22. But this is why you need to be surrounded by the best, the most honest, and professionals. And the friendship thing is great, and you need to have friends. But when you're starting to see these repetitious cycles of the same behaviors, it's time to narrow down the friend group and get some professionals around you and start dealing with the core. And there's no way that, I mean, there's no way to really nicely put that, but he's got to really focus on himself. Well, I don't know if he's done anything, Edith. I just know he's newly single, and I've seen some patterns of behavior that have made me concerned for him. So I just address them. Normally, I'll go months without talking about the boy because if he's doing well, I don't really leave videos because normally he will watch my videos. So if he's doing well, I blip off the screen because I don't want to bother him. And if something happens, and I think because he normally likes my videos and will watch them and respond, I try to leave him alone when he's doing well and only discuss things that I really think profoundly need to be discussed. And at this time, I really think that I really think that, we need to talk about these cycles, these patterns that we're seeing, some of the adapters that he's showing in his nonverbal communication, some of the ways he's starting, normally when he's looking at that Instagram, he's talking and he's square up and he's always straight up with you. And now we're starting to see a lot of sideways, hand over the mouth, hand doing this, hand doing that. He's obstructing himself. And that is psychological. So there's something, the subject matter he's discussing, there's something where he's taking himself away from it because it's making him uncomfortable. And so that has concerned me for a while, and you can look through a few videos and think, okay, well, maybe there was a fly or something, or, but when you start seeing it, again and again. And, but the one that really worried me was the one where someone asked him what drugs he liked to do. And he straight up said THC and shrooms and looked square at the camera. And then said, and I use Adderall in the studio, and broke the eyesight and hit his mouth. And, and in that huge adapter body language saying, I'm not proud of that and I'm not comfortable talking about it. And that made me think, okay, well, is he prescribed that? Is he not prescribed that? Is this a usage issue or a street sell issue, or have we crossed the line here mentally, emotionally, physically, legally? What does this mean? Because the Ron that we all know is a very kind of a higher standard country boy, little redneck, little engine rat, but also a very honest and normally humble, very, very humble man. And so that, for those questions to pop into my mind related to him, it concerned me. Because then I thought, what has happened? And oh my gosh, where are we going? And unfortunately, my health was so bad at the time that I just wasn't making a lot of content that was really deep and, had a lot of depth, because I just was not well enough to really put it together. And I'm not really well now, but this was too important to let go. Silvertree, yes. Yeah, and I have noticed that with the use of the adapters and the communication on the videos, and a lot of the connection is no longer here, it's here, or it's here. There's been more emotion, but less strength and articulation, and more concern, and just kind of less humility and more bravado. And normally when he looks dead at the camera, you can take it to the bank. And that concerns me. Oh yeah, Dusty Blue. Yeah, he's got. I mean, the world that he lives in, I don't think I could navigate. I mean, it's just, I can't imagine what he goes through today. And and the people that hound him and ask him for things. But he has gotten. He's gotten to where he knows if I notice something and I say something, I'm saying it out of love because I want to see him succeed. I would rather really never hear another song and know he's happy than to have him be hurt, to have to hurt to make music that I might want to hear. So when I say this, I'm saying it because, I see this, and I dealt with people that, had trauma backgrounds and severe issues, and were going through maladaptive coping, they were just not coping well with things. And I am concerned. And I just want him to know I'm concerned. And he knows how to reach me. And I don't know, the breakup, the abruptness of the breakup, the timing. If you go back and look, like I said, with the Rodney case, he was very aggressive, which was, when he gets fixated, the boy can get fixated. And when he puts all that energy, he can do great things. But he seemed very aggressive during that time, almost like a pit bull, going into a ring at the end of a leash trying to fight. And I was like, okay, this is, either he's very upset about this trafficking issue that's a potential issue with this case, or something is really rubbing him raw, somewhere else in life. But if you go back and look at the patterns, now that we know that all happened, he was very aggressive, very, very aggressive. And then boom, end of relationship. If you go back, that's kind of the cycle of all of them. And that was his deflection period where something bad was going on that needed to be repaired, but he put his energy elsewhere to deflect, distract, thinking, okay, it will pass. It never passes with him, though. When he starts to deflect, it bottlenecks, builds up, and booms. And so maybe that's what he needs to be working on. I want him to do well, but I would rather him be happy than make another record. If making music is something that is something you love so much, but is something that comes from only pain in your life, Pick one. Pick one. Which do you want more? Do you want happiness? Or do you want fame? Because if you want happiness, make your songs for yourself and your family. Because you already know you're great at it. You already know you're a master. But if it's going to suck the humanity out of your soul, stop doing it. Stop doing it. Because the destruction of the person that creates such beauty is not something we want to see. And we also don't want to see the beauty that we see within you wither up and die on the vine. You know, because of this stress, strain pattern we're getting into, you know. And I hope he watches this and understands that some of us see and feel what he's going through. And, you know, I don't have a lot bad to say about the boy. I care for him a lot. I really want to see him do well. You know, he's only ever been super sweet and kind to me. He's only ever blasted my videos and tried to help. And he's always been super positive. And in response, I've always been super honest. I have no reason to say anything other than what my eyes see and what I've been trained to pick up on. And I'm hoping that he really sits down and grounds himself. Jessica, I think Brianna was his, or what was it, Brie? I think called Brie. She was the longest relationship and like the most quiet. And there were a lot of parallels between that relationship and the one I saw that he had with Bethany. And that's why I thought maybe we're back to what he, you know, more of what he needs. More of, because it seems like his relationships need to be very, very separate from the world. You know, they need to be kind of be held away and kind of cradled. And, so I was hoping that maybe he had found kind of, you know, he'd kind of gone home with this one, but I'm worried. I think I just clicked a button. If I clicked a button, I'm sorry. Cats, I hope that, you know, I hope that he sits down and thinks about this too. And because, you know, 99.9% of the time I'm just raving about him and proud of him, and, you know, but at this point I am concerned. And, you know, and you can hide a lot when you're a celebrity. You learn how to project and you learn, you know, but when you're somebody that was trained to look for deception and certain body language cues and certain emotional indicators, it's hard to, I see it. And I don't keep up with him on all his platforms, but when it does circle around me, I notice it. And I had noticed a few things that I had not talked about because of my health, and now I wish I had talked about him, because maybe if I talked about him, he would have put more, you know, more focus there and been like, oh crap, I need to handle something. And so now I feel bad that I didn't say something about it earlier. But yeah, Dusty, that was a big thing. He grew up on the internet. He got fame right about the time most of us get independence. So his world, while he has all this fame and all this money and all this ability to do stuff, is really, his world is like this, because he can go anywhere, but he has to be in a bubble, because he has to protect himself from everybody that wants to be around him, because you don't know everybody's intentions. So in many ways, he's more free than us, and in some ways, he's in prison unlike us. And so we have to understand that, you know, he has got some huge stuff that he has to go through, you know, daily, that we don't understand and we could never understand. And, you know, I hope that he's very careful about who he's spending his time with and who he's listening to and who he's allowing to be his rudder right now, because he's in a quagmire. And I want him to get out of it, because it can't be good. And it can't feel good. And it's not a good way to start a year. And no matter what kind of music creations and wonderful things it may create, I don't want him to be unhappy to make music. It's like, stop. Don't put yourself in these positions. You know, I would rather never hear another song and know that he's happy. Cats, I feel the same way. I felt that she was very much a grounding force. That's why I told him to leave the flaming hot Cheeto women alone and go with the classic salt and vinegar. And she was a beautiful classic, and I can't see anything bad about the girl. I never saw anything bad projected about the girl. She was very, very sweet. Classic, yeah, she was a classic. But I want him to know that, there are some of us that go beyond just being yes people and being um energy pumpers, and there are some of us that are like, there's a human behind the music, there's a human behind the persona, and we want that person, that human, to be well before we listen to any more music, before we get any more messages or any more questions answered. We just want you to be well and happy and grounded, and that should be first. And I think that it may be time for Creek Squad, instead of demanding music and being so demanding, to say, hey, something? Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Cats, I've self-sabotage is something that comes to mind with people that have these similar relationship cycles. So yeah, Bethany carried herself very well. She presented herself very well. She's very smart, very well read. I was always very curious to see what she was reading, what was on her bookshelf. And she was very low key, which was great, because while Ron is famous, he has the core of him is very private. He is a private little mountain boy. And so he has the need to have a quiet spot in his life. And sometimes that's what I think is the balance. He's either balls to the wall or hidden in the woods, and there needs to be more of an even flow between the two. Yeah, he looks for a lot of muses, and and the people around him feed him in different ways, and I think maybe that's what I want him to be more aware of, and be more aware of what he's presenting, why he may be presenting it, why his emotions are staying in certain loops, and really start paying attention, to, this is, for me, it's the 4th or 5th cycle I've been through of kabooms, so yeah, I think he needs a break, and I know it's going to be hard for him to break, because he feels like he owes his fan base so much, but he doesn't owe us crap. I mean, he doesn't owe us anything. So I just hope they're both well, but I am concerned, and I always voice my concerns. And this is just my concerns. I'm not, this is not like medical advice or anything. I'm not working and billing anybody's insurance anymore. I'm at home and retired, and an old dumpy, half to the grave woman. But I still have all my knowledge in my brain, and so when I see this, it makes me want to say, "Oi, take care of yourself. This is a dangerous behavior. This is an indication of you're not okay with things in your world." We're starting to get more side glances, more emotional cutaways, more coverings of the mouth, more frustrated hat movements. We're not getting the straight on anymore. There's a lot of adapters in his body language that worry me. But the big thing was that time when they asked him, what drugs do you like? And he said, THC shrooms, straight up to the camera. And then he said, when I'm in the studio, I like to use Adderall. And you could tell he struggled. He said it, but he struggled to say it. And I was like, oh, we have a problem here. But I don't know what kind of problem. Like, is it prescribed? Is it not prescribed? Is it misused? Is it being used as prescribed? Is it something that he stumbled onto that he's using as a creative adapter? And if so, whoa, you don't need a creative adapter, boy. You got all the creativity. Jesus blessed you and then give you tenfold, because apparently there was 10 people behind you in line that said, no, that's okay. He can have ours too. So you don't need a creative adapter. Just you don't. And to be quite honest, if I knew that there was certain music that was only created because of a chemical compound, I would not listen to it, because that music does not have the heart. And for me, Hitchhike has been the last song that really touched me. Just really went into my heart. And I've struggled to really emotionally attach to the newer stuff. And I've been like, why? Is it because of what I'm going through with my own health? Or is it because there's been a change somewhere? Our bodies are energy rods. We pick up on other people's energies. We swap exchange energies. We affect other people and we don't even know it. And so you just have to walk so correctly within the world and be aware of how you affect others. And I hope that he knows that we don't want to affect him in a bad way, and that if we are, that he certainly has every right to take a break and focus on him, because he's what's important, not the music. I normally am all over his music, and I literally take him apart lyric by lyric and really go through it. And Hitchhike was the last song that I really did that to. But now I've also had a lot of health problems myself, and so that may be why I've just not been as focused, because I've not done as many of my psychobabble videos and stuff since I've been more sick, because I have to be focused to bring up the knowledge and throw it out there. So, and I've just been so sick myself, so I've just not been able to. But this one was too important. Like, I almost had a heart attack a couple weeks ago, but now, doggone it, I will get myself out of bed and I will go, excuse me, are you okay? I care about him enough to be like, I will perk myself up for a half hour and make sure you're okay. And he knows how to reach me. And if I can do anything for him, he knows that I'll do it. And sometimes it's just having somebody to talk to that maybe is a neutral sounding board, that is not obligated to be kind, nice, or blow smoke up your hind end. And sometimes it is, you need a professional. And I would always err on the side of going for a professional. And if he needs help locating one of those in his area, I can certainly, look into that and help locate someone that is well recommended. But I just want him to be well, mentally, emotionally, physically, and just be a human with a good life. But just be a person for a while. Don't worry about the persona, and just be happy and find your happiness. Don't find a distraction. Don't find a self-soothing mechanism. Find happiness. They look kind of similar at the beginning, but one always falls away. The other one stays forever. It's very hard to figure that out, especially when you're younger. Yeah, Hitchhike I love it. Liba cats. Liba cats. I always worry how things will sound in my accent, because I have such a thick accent. I got picked on in school so much because I would be in these, I'd be in the master's program and be writing these huge, thesis, dissertation papers, and be using all of this big jargon. And then I'd be like, I got a question. My professor would be like, it's just who I am. I got really sick and almost had a heart attack about a week and a half before Christmas. So I spent Christmas recuperating, and I'm still not well, but I'm a lot better than I was. I'm starting to feel the come back into me. So, but I'm going to take care of me for a while. And so my nursing starts next week. I don't know if I'm looking forward to that or not. I've had off and on for a while because of what occurred, but it starts full time next week. And I don't know if I'm looking as forward to that, because now I'm getting more able to take care of myself. And when I'm more able to take care of myself, I'm more stubborn and belligerent. So I don't know if I'm going to look forward to having somebody sitting here staring at me or not. But I know with the winter weather and my disorder and everything that I've been through, I need somebody else looking here at me as much as David works. So I'm going to try not to fuss too much and just accept the aid and be gracious and shut up. That's the plan. And I don't want to make whoever is taking care of me, tense or anxious. So I don't want to make them feel bad. So Oscar's looking at me like, would you shut up? Yeah, might possibly. I'm hoping they try to send somebody in the same age range. And I know that during the winter, I have really rough health issues during the winter. And especially when there's huge weather changes. And like we were negative 26 wind chill like 2 weeks ago, and now we're almost 70. And it's like, what? And my body cannot. So what I have is very much like MS, except for MS can be kind of controlled. Mine can't. And so it's rough. It's not a pleasant existence some days. Yeah. So this winter I will have people checking on me. So I will not be as alone. So probably, yeah, if I feel better, we'll definitely be doing something. I've got some stuff that I need to finish. So if I get to feeling better, I'll be back sitting at the table trying to do some stuff. But for the last little bit, I've had to be on so much medicine for muscles and heart and stuff. I've just felt, I've just felt really bad. So I'm just now coming off of a lot of the medicines that were kind of keeping my muscles and everything calm while the lactic acid left, which was what almost caused me to tank. And so I'm feeling better, but I'm going through the change from where I'm not got the help from the medicine, but I'm feeling better, so I don't necessarily need it. But then on these rougher days, I'm like, ick. So it's just, for the next week or so, it's just going to be day by day until my body can fully kind of manage on its own. And it's doing a good job. It's just for the next few days, I'm going to have to put her in 4 low and just crawl. For all of y'all rednecks, you understood that. I know you did. But that's just the mode I'm going to have to be in. Yeah, and my health and issues it's a roller coaster. And I was the most strong Amazonian woman you ever met, and now I'm like fully domesticated and round. So life will get you. Pay attention. But that's just all I really wanted to say. I just wanted to just put that out there, and your life will get us. Like, we all can't do no Betancourt, okay? I watched the More Than Words video from like back when I was in high school. Y'all know More Than Words, the 2 black and white filmed video, and Nuno Betancourt and his perfect angular nose, and he was just the most beautiful man. And then I thought, well, what does Nuno Betancourt look like now? So she actually has a YouTube channel, so I went to look at it, and I went, well, we all can't be Nuno Betancourts, can we? So I was mad at Nuno Betancourt for a full hour. I was like, I am not a Nuno Betancourt. I have aged. So the man is still perfect. And I was like, I don't like you as much as I used to now. I have to go think about this and process this information. But I remember in my head, I was like, well, we all can't be no Nuno Betancourt now, can we? I was really upset with myself and him for like at least a half hour. And so I'm having some funny moments again. And I know that's because I'm feeling better. But it really irks me that Nuno Betancourt is like way older than me and looks still phenomenal. And I'm like, Dad, burn it. What happens? Like, what gene did I not get, God? Well, Dusty, thank you. I have moments, but when I'm tired, I'm not as funny, but I have moments. Well, I'm a person of reason, but let me tell you something. Even a person of reason, I've had more disruption and chaos and animosity in my family this winter than I've ever had in my whole entire life. And it's just like, I think somebody put a cup of something in the recipe when it called for a dash. And I'm like, who did it? Because, even as much as I am aware and, it seems like when my health wanes, something's brewing. And it always catches me like right when I'm at the bottom of the loop, when I'm at my worst. And so my family even has come aparts. We have full blown, we got to take it to Jesus and be healed moments. And we're working through one right now. Let me tell you about it. And there's not a lot of work I can do on it right now without getting so upset that I will put myself in the hospital. So I'm having to take it in a crawl. But even my family has huge come aparts where we literally we go to Jesus and ask for super glue and to be patched back up again because we screwed it up. So that's what we're really good at. We screwed it up. And, and you just have to kind of remind yourself that I'm human. We're all human. He's human. We're all going through it. And we should at least try to help each other through it. And I think sometimes being a celebrity makes you feel so detached that you forget that you have other ways to get through things. And so I'm just like, I'm here. I'm here if you need a creative list of how to handle shit. Because let me tell you, I've handled a lot of it the last few weeks. So I'm here. Priscilla, I'm doing better. I've just been like, this weather system about got me. I'm so glad it went south and didn't go north because it was a humdinger. So I didn't sleep much last night watching the weather, and then today I've hurt so bad I've not rested. So Dusty Blue, there you go. You're getting into my world now, aren't you? Well, third, I'm glad I can make you smile. You know, this is a very serious topic, and it is a very serious thing to speak about. Um, but it's easier to talk about when you try to soften the blow a little bit. And you know, do I think that Ryan is doing anything currently that is like gonna like immediately blow up his life and world? And I don't know. I just know I saw some stuff that concerned me with what I was trained to look for in my careers. And I wanted to say, here, I saw this because I've always been honest with him. So that's what I saw. Maybe he'll watch this, think about it, reflect, yell at me if he needs, you know, options, numbers. I'll do whatever I can to help the boy. Sometimes it just takes somebody's different perspective to go, well, crap, because it's even though some of us try to look at things in various ways, sometimes you get so tunnel vision in life, you need someone else to kind of shake it up a little bit and smack you on the head and go, hello, did you look at it from this way? And so, I'm just trying to maybe offer that other perspective. So I hope things go well for him, and I hope that they revisit the relationship, and it, even if it stays to where it's, they are stay broken up, that they heal whatever occurred, because it must have been a doozy. But I have to say that I can't say anything horrible about Bethany, because I think she's handled herself like a freaking Grace Kelly queen. So, and she's still not saying anything bad about Ron, and that's normally the first thing that these girls do. That tells me that her motive and her heart was in the right place. She's still in protection mode, and that only comes with love. So I hope that even if they stay broken up, resolve whatever created it so that they get the closure they need to go on. But boy, it must have been a doozy. I just hope they heal from it. So that's about all I wanted to say. I'm getting tired now because I've yapped for too long. But I'm glad I could visit for a few minutes. And honestly, I'm going back to bed because I feel like crap today. The weather's been horrible. But as I get stronger and get more energy, I'll start doing more routine videos again. But just give me a little bit of time, because this was a really big health bobble. It almost took me out. And I'm just having to really be careful. I've been out of my house one day in a month. And I thought that was like the biggest deal, just to ride down the mountain to my parents with my husband, who was helping my dad find where the coyotes were coming into the cattle fields with, that was like the biggest trip ever. How sad. I always enjoy seeing my family, but it's just like, how sad that was like, the culmination of my holiday experience. So it's been a very weird end of the year, start of the next, but I'll climb back out eventually. But just keep everybody in mind, because I know several families that had horrific Christmases. We had a family of 6 burn up in a house fire here in my area. And it just, even on my crappiest days, there's still something to be thankful for, that I still woke up and I'm still able to come on here and talk and share what I crammed in my brain for 6 years. Even though I'm not physically able to go to work anymore, I can still share and maybe give people different thought patterns and different ways to look at things that may help improve their life. So, and that's basically all I try to do. So I'm going to go back to bed now. My nose is thoroughly stopped up. My dog is looking at me, so he must need to go outside. So I'm going to let Oscar outside, and then I'm going to go back to bed, and we'll see what happens. But I hope things go better. I'm going to try to keep up with Instagram a little bit more now that I know things have shaken up. And should I see something that concerns me, I'll come back and do a video. But hopefully things will resolve and everybody will be in a better place here in a few days, and we'll get to see a better side, a better looking side of Ron. I don't know. I was not happy with the way he looked. So everybody toss up some good energy. I'm going to bed. I'm tired now. Love you guys. Thanks for joining me. Night.